Uh, s- so hi friends, today we will be learning brachial plexus, basic of brachial plexus, and the way we will be learning it not by ABCD type mnemonics and other things. We will try to understand the thing from which we already know, the things which are quite apparent. So first of all, I will draw the roots of brachial plexus. It has basically 5 roots. There is also some contribution from C4 and T2 in some types of brachial plexus, but we will stick to this only. C5, C6, C7, C8, and T1. And this all region is in neck region. This you can imagine is a vertebra. My drawing is not very good, but you can imagine this here is a cervical vertebra. You can imagine. And first of all, the roots from C5, C6 join together. C5 being the middle one goes alone, as the middle ones are usually alone, and C8 and T1 again join to form trunk. Now basically you know that roots of a tree always join to form a trunk, so nothing much to remember in it. So here we have roots, they form trunk. Now what I want you to understand that slowly from the cervical neck region we are coming downwards towards the arm. Basically we are reaching the axillary artery region. So this whole thing is in high up in your neck. So the trunks are basically named accordingly: superior, middle, and inferior trunk. Now each of these three give two divisions, anterior and posterior. Now all the posterior divisions join together. All the people who remain behind join in a group, which form a cord which is called as posterior cord. All posterior division form a cord which is called posterior cord. Now regarding the anterior division, you must remember that the anterior divisions which I am drawing in bold lines, the anterior division from the middle trunk joins the anterior division of the superior trunk. This only you have to remember. This lower one, anterior division, walks alone. Roots, trunk, and these are the divisions. Now as I was telling you, we started from this area, neck region, and the posterior, this cord region is named accordingly to the relation to the axillary artery. So we are somewhere in the axilla now. This posterior cord is behind the axillary artery, and this is medial cord, which is medial to the axillary artery. Keep imagining, because these are the things that will help to remember the brachial plexus. Here we are somewhere in the axillary artery region. This is in the neck, and again this one is the lateral cord, which is lateral to the axillary artery. We have reached up till now. This is in the axillary artery region. So after axillary artery region, we will enter this region. Understand, this is the deltoid, and this is the arm of your person. Again, my drawing is not very good, but you can imagine where we are right now. So from here it gives its terminal branches. So again, understand, this lateral one is towards the lateral side, so it needs to supply something on the lateral and anterior. All axillary artery is coming towards the anterior side, so the lateral cord will be supplying muscles from the anterior, first of all anterior, because this will go below. So the more sensible way for the brachial plexus itself, if I were myself a brachial plexus, I will supply these anterior muscle from this one only, because if I choose to supply from the medial cord the muscles of arm, then all my nerve from the lateral cord will have to cross from the hair to hair. There will be crisscrossing of nerves, which obviously I, being a simple brachial plexus, will not want it. So what I give as a brachial plexus, lateral cord gives a branch which supplies the anterior arm muscles, which are coracobrachialis, brachialis, and this one biceps brachii, which we all know is supplied by musculocutaneous nerve. So this is the nerve from the lateral cord. Now coming to the posterior cord, again we know that there is a nerve which goes posteriorly to the radius from the radial groove, which is specially protected during the posterior approach to arm, and there is another nerve which twists around the shaft of humerus, supplying the deltoid. So we all know that there are two posterior nerves, so which will obviously be arising from the posterior cord. I'm not giving you any ABCD, just understand simply. The posterior nerve will obviously be arising from the posterior cord. Again, I'm telling you, being a brachial plexus, I would want to keep the things simple. So my posterior cord gives the two well-known posterior branches, which you know is axillary and the radial nerve. So we are done with these two. Now the medial cord. See, again this medial cord, as I said, the lateral cord supplied the upper region. Now the medial cord will be towards the medial side and try to supply the medial region, which we all know the medial region is supplied by, which is the ulnar side. So supplied by the ulnar nerve. So the medial cord of yours gave the ulnar nerve. Now we are left with one nerve. See, this middle one never took anything from the above or below, right here, but in the end it takes contribution from both above and below. So the middle one forms a nerve which is a median nerve. So our one side of brachial plexus is over, basically the main nerves. Now you have to remember the root values also, but that I will be explaining in another video. First of all, just remember the nerves to make things simple. Now there are some nerves coming from this meshwork also, which you have to remember. We will start from the root itself. First of all, there is this region high up in your neck. There is a nerve, very long nerve, since it is coming high up from your cervical region, a very long nerve which comes down to thorax to supply a muscle. So it is called a long thoracic nerve. It supplies serratus anterior muscle. So you can imagine, from high up in the neck, it comes down to supply the serratus anterior muscle. Its root values are apparent C5, C6, C7, but I will be doing it in another video. Don't mix up the things. So one nerve is from here. Now there are three and three nerves from each, above, middle and below, that you have to remember. 1, 2 and 3. Here again 1, 2 and 3, and here also 1, 2 and 3. Now what you will start from here, this region, as you can imagine, in the neck region. Now again, I, being the brachial plexus, I need to supply the muscle on the dorsal side of scapula because I am supplying around the shoulder girdle. So, but I know that from here I will be reaching in the axillary artery, which is towards the anterior side of my chest. So again, I don't want to supply the dorsal side or the back side of nerve from here. I cannot supply from here because I will have to cross, go back, and like some time of recurrent nerves I have to give. So I will not do it. What I will do is, first of all, the first branch that I will give, I will supply the dorsal region of my back, which is the dorsal scapular nerve. Dorsal scapular nerve. You can imagine, since I need to supply the dorsal side also, this is the best place from where I can give a nerve, dorsal scapular nerve, which supplies again that higher up muscles that you know, rhomboids, plus levator scapulae. Levator scapulae. I'm using short form because I don't have much space to write all the things. So the first nerve I have given is dorsal scapular, since this is dorsal to the scapular side and the muscles also to the dorsal scapular region. I have given this dorsal scapular nerve. Now my next aim is to supply again. See, there are again some muscles on the dorsal side which are still left. One above the spine of scapula and one below the spine of scapula. So the other nerve which I will be giving is suprascapular. Suprascapular. Again we are in the high up region, so scapula must be somewhere here. Just imagine. Not to be anatomically correct, but just imagine scapula must, since we started from cervical vertebra, now scapula is somewhere here. Just try to imagine. So again, the topmost muscle I have supplied from dorsal scapular, rhomboid and levator, as you know, they are high up. Now the other suprascapular, it supplies the, you can say, the other dorsal muscle, supraspinatus, lack of space, plus infraspinatus. We have supplied the supraspinatus and infraspinatus. Now the dorsal muscles are somewhat done, the major of the muscle. Now the other muscle is, since we are going down below, see, and it is the lateral side, it gives a lateral pectoral. Lateral pectoral supplies the pect major muscle, pectoralis major. So the three nerves from here are done. There is also nerve to subclavius and other things that are not that much important. Just keep the things simple. So three nerves we are done from here, and as you can see, first we supply the higher nerve, then the above the spine and below the spine muscle, and then we are slightly approaching towards the anterior muscle. See, just imagine yourself being brachial plexus. This is what you have done also, if you wanted to supply all those muscles. Now we will come towards the medial side. I will not be touching posterior cord. We will be doing after this. See, lateral pectoral you have done. Now to counteract it, the medial cord also gives a medial pectoral. Medial pectoral. Now medial pectoral supplies both pect major and minor. Again, it's easy to understand because see, as you know, the pectoralis major is more towards the medial side of chest, and pectoralis minor is a small muscle. So a muscle that is coming from medial side can only supply both the muscles. A lateral pectoral cannot supply the small pectoralis major, which is toward the medial side it attaches to the coracoid process, that is in the anatomy, but basically you can imagine Only a nerve coming from the medial side could supply both the muscles. So medial pectoral supplies pec major and pec minor. So lateral pectoral, medial pectoral, so that you can remember. That's why I am following this lateral cord and then the medial cord. Now there are other two muscles. See, again being the brachial plexus, you want here we are talking about the sensory supply. So the first nerve comes is medial brachial cutaneous. Now medial brachial cutaneous supplies the medial part of your arm. See, since it's from the medial cutaneous, the medial cord, sorry, since it's from the medial cord will obviously supply the medial side of your arm. So first it supplies the medial side of your arm. Then the second nerve it gives to supply the medial antebrachial cutaneous. Basically it means you can also call it the forearm, medial cutaneous nerve of forearm. Antebrachial and forearm are as the same. So after supplying the medial side of your arm, it supplies the medial side of your forearm. Again, everything is systematic, nothing is haphazard. Our brachial plexus is quite intelligent. So after supplying these three regions, I'm not you can understand what is supplying from the name itself, so I'm not writing anything extra. Medial brachial cutaneous to the arm, and then medial antebrachial cutaneous to the region of forearm. Now this region we have done. Now coming to the posterior cord. See, after supplying the dorsal side of scapula, now it wants to supply the anterior side of scapula. Since these are the terminal branches which start to supplying from here, arm, deltoid, and these are the muscles that is supply. So there are few muscles left in between which are on the anterior side. So this posterior cord, since again imagine, since brachial plexus is coming anteriorly, so the posterior cord this posterior cord will be nearer to the anterior surface of the scapula. Just imagine, from higher up in the neck is coming, which has supplied the dorsal side of scapula. Now the anterior side of scapula is remaining, and these are the terminal branches. So this posterior cord supplies the anterior side of scapula. So the anterior side of scapula you can also call as the subscapular region. So the first nerve it gives is the upper subscapular nerve, and what it supplies is the muscle that is in that region, subscapularis. The major muscle. The first thing it does is supplies the first subscapular region muscle, the upper subscapular nerve, the subscapularis muscle. Now the second, after giving the upper subscapular, it gives the lower subscapular. Lower subscapular. What it supplies is again that subscapularis muscle. I'm using short form, subscapularis muscle plus another muscle which is behind, which is the teres major. Teres major, is below the subscapularis muscle. Now do not confuse it with the teres minor. See, understand, teres minor muscle is above the teres major muscle, which goes towards the deltoid muscle, as you know, the teres minor. So teres minor is basically supplied with the nerve which supplies the deltoid, because it would be easy for it. So axillary nerve, as we know, supplies the deltoid, and axillary itself supplies the teres minor also, because they are near to each other, which we'll be doing in another video. So just remember, lower subscapularis muscle plus teres major. Now there is another nerve which supplies the, after supplying the anterior region of scapula, there is another nerve which supplies the anterior region of thorax. Sorry, not anterior region of thorax. It supplies the dorsal region of thorax. Its nerve name is thoracodorsal. Now, as its name suggests, thoraco and dorsal nerve. So, in the thorax region, towards your dorsal side, which gives you the muscle latissimus dorsi. The only I used to confuse between thoracodorsal and long thoracic, but there's something wrong with my light. Okay, but this name thoracodorsal itself explains which muscle it would supply, thoraco and dorsal, which is the latissimus dorsi, and long thoracic is towards the anterior side, serratus anterior muscle. So these are the basic outline. In the root values and the terminal supplies we will be doing in another lecture. Thank you. Subscribe if you like, and like if you like it.